everyone, and welcome back to another Prismatica devlog. It's been nearly a month, probably over a month. So we've been a little bit quiet, but with very good reason. I'm joined here today by Andrew. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And today we are just going to sort of try and convince you that we have actually been working on the game very hard. It looks basically the same as it has, since the last one. It kind of feels the same, although a very, invisible difference is that this player that I have right here is actually all running in C++. So that's kind of exciting because when you scale it up to, X number of characters, that's when you really start to see the differences. Very exciting. I'm going to let Andrew sort of run us over what kind of changes, what kind of improvements have been made to the systems. Show Andrew's screen.
That one. With my big paint thing. Yeah, the subtle difference is now our character is all running in C++, hence the CPPP layer character, who is all componentized. So it's super modular. Right now I'm just playing in the world. And let's say, there's a steep slope here and we walk really slowly down it and even more slowly up it. And that, might feel a bit weird for the player. So one thing which is really fancy that we can do now is we can say, well, I've got this sliding component. So now when I hit play, and I come up to this slope, I shall gracefully slide down.
Ooh.
The charm of it is that it was that easy. We were just able to slap on a component and now the character can do that. Yeah. And that's been the whole design of what I've been doing with the C++. I've been making these components so we can see the player has a moving component, a weapon equip hotkey component. All these little pieces where each one defines a piece of behavior the player can do. So when I press 2, I've bound that to a torch, so the player pulls out a torch and I can put it back away.
No animations yet, it's just...
No animations yet, it's not hooked in. Got the ragdoll component. So we've always had a debug ragdoll button, and when I've got that component there, I can just press R and ragdoll and watch him gracefully slide down the hill. Really want to emphasize how easy this makes it. Some of these components are maybe all up 50 lines of code. They're that simple, but they add pretty big chunks of functionality. And it's so easy to just drop in a new one or remove one. From a new character.
If it's removed, it doesn't exist on that character.
So it's not being run at all. It removes any cost associated with it. And it also means that it's really easy for us to say, this human is a special case of humans, this one can fly. And we just put in a flight component and suddenly that one's able to fly, and it will be that easy. For any of you nerds out there, that's how you make modular code. It's free for us to do that. It's one of the first design patterns you should learn about. Yeah, it costs us nothing.
And so the really exciting thing about that is that that's going to save us so much design time down the line, because I'm going to click this, I'm going to click change from humanoid walking component to horse walking component, because a horse might handle more like a vehicle where it can only move forward and turn.
Yeah, and we've seen what we gained from that already. I think in maybe 20 minutes I made that weapon equip hotkey script, and that's essentially how our hotkeys are going to work in the future. It's pretty much the end functionality, and it took 20 minutes to make, if that.
Say we want a self-destruct module. So we've got an enemy that, you've always got that enemy in any game that comes up to you and it's carrying TNT and it blows up. Yeah, petard. So say we wanted that for an enemy, but everything else about the enemy was just a humanoid thing. It walked like a humanoid, it jumped like a humanoid, it climbed like a humanoid, but it needed this self-destruct component so that it would, blow all its limbs apart. We could just make that little module, attach that to, the character that it needed to be on. And we don't have to add that to the parent humanoid class.
Don't need a null check. We don't have to do any kind of runtime checking. The engine's already handling all that for us, so it costs nothing.
Yeah, which is ripper. That's sort of the gist of the back-end stuff. But while Andrew's been doing that and, refactoring all of my dodgy blueprint designer code, prototype code, we call it. I've been busy at work just making the game look as good as I can, really. Our sort of production philosophy, or at least my production philosophy, is get the game out into people's eyeballs as quickly as possible, like as early in the process as you can, because then they recognize the art style. If they see a screenshot, they'll be like, oh, is that a screenshot from that game that those people are making? And it just sort of, it plants seeds. Obviously, growing an audience is an exponential endeavor, and so the earlier you start it, you can get those, that sort of long grind out of the way. By the time you release the game, you see the result of, this sort of
all that hard work.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna run around the world a bit. I've made this little thing to show off the sliding. Whoop. We can jump, and it's all nice. I've started work on some water, like a water system that was completely from scratch. So for you guys that know about the, my beautiful landscape deformation system, the water interaction system works very much in the same way, with just a separate scene capture that only sees water actors. And yeah, we've got these ripples. I have it running at 30 FPS, like update rate. So, because that just saves a ton of performance. But this is all mesh based as well. So if I was to ragdoll and slide in here, it's not like we're generating like footprint actors or something. It's all render depth based, which is really cool. And I can skim off all the algae from the top, which is pretty fun. Very
satisfying.
Very oddly satisfying, yeah.
Oddly cathartic?
Yeah, I can just erase the algae from this pond. Although it does grow back very slowly, which is a nice touch. And then a really cool system, which I actually designed 2 days ago, is this sort of dynamic camera movement system, which is really cool to sort of add in these like dynamic cinematic camera movements, which is really cool. So, I've got this pink tree here. It's really nice looking, and, being a top-down game, you don't get to appreciate the scenery very often. So by adding these little points where, the camera will tilt up and, move upwards or zoom out or zoom in is really cool. And it actually takes a fixed value. So if I'm all the way zoomed in, like player specified zoomed in, and then I move here, it will still end up at the same position. If I was, specified zoomed out, it would, it all ends up in the same place. And so that gives us a lot of control over, what the camera is doing at any given point, and we can tell the player, hey, like, you should be looking at something. So the way this camera system works, there's a little widget that I've set up, and it has a lot of little visual representations of where the outer bounds are and the inner bounds are. So the inner bounds represents a little area that when the player is inside this, the camera is at its final position, and the outer sphere determines where the transition starts, and it essentially just lerps between camera angle, camera distance, field of view, camera offset. So we can get really cool angles like this at, specific points, like vantage points and stuff. We can just set these up anywhere. It's just a matter of placing the volume actor in the world, and all of the logic is on that actor itself, and it isn't ticking until it hits the player character. So I'm just going to jump down here and show you another one. So I set up another one over here, and it will change the angle of the camera slightly, so it's looking down a bit, and the field of view adjusted as well. Very subtle, and this will be used subtly in most cases. But this one has a little checkbox ticked that allows the player to still zoom in and out at their discretion, even though the angle and the field of view has changed. So, for really subtle areas or areas where the view isn't optimal, there might be like a lot of things in the way, we can make really small adjustments in certain areas. Speaking of big camera vistas, I added a sort of two-tone fog system. So it almost creates like a screen space contrast that just makes the entire scene look much more aesthetic. And, you know, you've probably seen in all my thumbnails, I've been doing this since like day one, where I split the color tones in two, just because it's really eye-catching and quite beautiful. And so that's sort of why I decided, yeah, I might revamp my fog system, make it a little bit more appealing, a little bit more extravagant, I guess.
I'm pretty sure he just broke his neck.
Yeah. Lucky he doesn't have a health component yet. I'm definitely recording now. I can see the button. You should have told me that I wasn't recording. You can see it.
I did spot it like right at the end, and I was like, wait, I can't read the text.
So that's sort of all of the in-game visible things that have changed. It kind of doesn't look like we've done that much. Essentially, it's like pre-production. You know, you're getting ready for the big push, the big production year of grind. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to, you know, creating content for the game instead of creating the content to be able to create the content for the game, which is, you know, it's exciting. And I know you're excited too, Andrew, right?
Yeah, well, this whole time I've been either fixing up and replacing prototypes or making this modular system, which you don't really get to see the immediate gain from it. So I'm definitely excited to start working on new stuff.
If you're questioning that we actually are working on this game or not, you should head over to our Twitch channel.
We'll prove it.
Because we'll prove it. We work on the game every single day, and we stream every second day, basically. We stream very regularly, and sometimes we stream extra. Chances are you'll be able to catch a stream. We're always answering questions about both the game and about development in general. You know, if people come to us with an issue like, hey, like, Charlie, I tried one of your tutorials and it sucks and, you know, you can't explain anything properly, how do I do this? I can just be like, oh, sorry, this is how you do it. You know, and I'll show it step by step. And someone might be like, hey, you know, wouldn't it be cool if Prismatica had multicolored fog like Valheim? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, let's do it.
Let's get sidetracked for the next 5 hours.
5 hours later, it's all done, it's all polished, and it, you know, it's hella worth it. So probably like 80% of what I do at this point is me getting sidetracked, adding a really cool feature, and it being like, you know, like a definitive feature. Like the fog system is really noticeable, and as soon as I implemented that, like the production value of the game just like got a big boost all around. Like all of a sudden it looked just way more professional. Getting sidetracked is really important when you're developing a game because it is such a long process that you can burn out on and, you know, get really tired and not motivated and lose your inspiration. So it's really important to just sort of, you know, when that inspiration rabbit hops on by, you gotta chase it. You gotta follow it down the rabbit holes, and
that inspiration rabbit. You gotta keep your eyes out for him.
That's right. If you're one of the unlucky people that can't make it to our streams very often because of time zones, you know, we're Australian. We're 2.5 days ahead of the rest of the world, so it's kind of a bit weird to stream. You can join our Discord instead if you need help with anything or you just want to hang out with other developers. It's extremely active at the moment, which is really good. We're getting new members every single day. We're getting people coming in saying, hey, I need help with XYZ, you know, how can I do this? And within 20 minutes, someone's at least given them an answer. And maybe if they don't have the answer, they've pointed them in the right direction or linked them to, you know, some documentation. And we all know how hard the documentation is to navigate.
Or worse, you're trying to look at the C++ documentation. There's not a lot of value there.
I do that in my spare time. So if you would like to join our Discord server and hang out with everyone, the link is in the description below. Do you want to point as well? Do you want to use both hands? God, you're enthusiastic. And speaking of links in the description, if you want to support the development of the game monetarily, you can feel free to check out our Patreon. You know, no pressure. I'm not trying to convince you into subscribing to the Patreon below.
Subliminal messaging much.
I'll just flash it up on screen. We've got our mascot, T-Cat. Very lovely cat. Very smooth coat. There is a ton of emojis that are unique to our Discord server. So if you want to get those emojis and use them elsewhere, you've got to join our Discord. So yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed this little devlog. Andrew, do you have any closing words?
Looking forward to seeing you all on the Discord and on the streams.
There you go. You heard it here first. So with that, we say goodbye.
Goodbye, all.
Goodbye. 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 See ya.
Bye.